Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Hardcore Challenge Live, the official webcast of the Hardcore Challenge, which is, as you all know, the pinnacle of fantasy football competition. And this week, actually tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football, the Hardcore Challenge postseason officially kicks off. We just dropped from a 32-team league down to 12. 20 teams just exited. I was one of them. So now there is only 6 teams left in the NFC, 6 teams left in the AFC, in our largest pool of postseason owners ever. It's not going to be easy to raise the cup this season. There seemed to be a defined cream of the crop at the top of each conference, but it started to change and shift a little as the season grew into the later stages. More apparent so in the AFC than the NFC, but as well in the NFC too. As Mo climbs up and claims the first round bye, stealing it from Donkey Punch in the final week, as did the Knox Vegas Anarchy over the defending champ in the AFC. Teams that were looking like they were going to have a week off didn't get one. Teams that didn't look like they had a chance to get a week off got one. Teams that were in the playoffs didn't make it, and that's just the way it worked out. As a whole, I don't see any openings league-wide with the owners that we brought in. I think we selected a very good and solid group of owners, especially with the new ones. As you see, we have a handful of new owners that made the postseason. A handful of new owners were also fighting for the postseason. Everybody was involved. Everybody was involved till the end, and really we didn't have any major issues with participation and continuing to fight and battle in either conference. It was very, very minimal issues. The vice president and I don't even think we had a questionable trade that came through and even had to be brought forth. Everybody knows the drill. Everybody played hard. And unfortunately, yes, 2 people did get on the waiver wire. One in the AFC picked up in defense, and one in the NFC grabbed a running back. I had to go switching this morning. Both were new guys, and I knew it was going to be a new owner. That's why I was trying to get it out there yesterday, all over the league pages, the groups, the shows. But somebody still did it. I knew damn well somebody was going to do it. But it did look like it was no harm, no foul. So, but it was a good season as a whole, so I know I'm going to lose some of you after tonight's show, probably because your season's over. You may pop in and out through the playoffs just to see who wins it all, but I did want to thank everybody for a good season, a great season. I think it was our most competitive season ever. The several divisions were not decided till the end. Playoff races were not decided till the end. And everybody participated. That's all you want in a fantasy football league, is for everybody to participate, everybody to play. And I think we accomplished our mission statement again this season. And now we're heading into the playoffs. So we're going to get a little more in-depth on the breakdowns. I'm going to try to get the owners on as the playoffs continue. Those that would like to participate to come on the show as they face off in the do or die. I mean, guys, you're in the conferences, you're in a 6-man tournament right now to win $500. I mean, that's 500 freaking bucks. If you ain't gaming your ass off in a 3-round tournament for $500, that's what I'm saying. This should be a very exciting postseason. You've got, with the two conferences going and the possible matchup for a Super Bowl, it just adds a whole extra twist and extra level. 720 Canadian. Thanks for the clarification and the footnote, Tom. Appreciate it. We hope that does not come into play this year. We hope we don't have to transfer anything, and we can bring that back south of the border. But we will see. We will see. The defending champ is in the pool. He made it in with a chance to defend his crown. The only multiple year champion, two-time champion in the league. So let's get right to our 4 matchups that we have. Let's start with one. We'll do one from each conference. Then we'll alternate back and forth. So let's start off with our defending champ, shall we? As Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, 8-0. Looking like world beaters. Leading the league in scoring. Just looking unstoppable, like they were ready to defend the crown. And then they lose 4 out of 5 down the stretch. The last 3 games. And fall, ending their 6-season streak of division titles, dropping them into the wild card spot, dropping them out of a first-round bye, and into a matchup with Bleeding Green, who is one of our new owners, who took down Stinky Pinky already basically in a playoff game in a do-or-die match. For win and get in, win and you win the division, and you get in, loser was out. Stinky Pinky's on the outside looking in this season in the playoffs, and Bleeding Green makes it in. These two owners have 0 history. They have never played in a regular season. Like I said, Bleeding Green is a new owner. Tom, the owner of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, is our most decorated owner. Period. Most playoff appearances, most division titles, tied for Super Bowl appearances, leads in playoff wins, league championships, 3 times has led the league in scoring. Bleeding Green has a tough matchup in week 1. A very tough matchup in week 1. When you're looking across their roster, the things that jump out to you are Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood with Alex Smith. Andy Reid's play calling has absolutely neutered Alex Smith over the past month. And does that continue as they have a very tough divisional matchup? Although they are at home, they are playing the Raiders, and that is always a good game. But that may bode well, as typically it is a high-scoring game as well. It's never a low-scoring game between Oakland and the Chiefs. You can throw the records out. Every freaking year it is a shootout when it's in Oakland and when it's in KC. So that could bode well. Gurley's at home against Philly. Hunt is the big question mark. Hunt is the big question mark. Because, as Gary just alluded to, they are not using him properly in the last 6 weeks at all. And he has really fallen off. Bleeding Green has Phillip Rivers, who has the possibility to draw big points on you. Brandon Cooks, Doug Baldwin. His running backs are light, and he's just got one of those teams that is just kind of even across the board. There's not one guy that just really jumps out at you. But he's built a solid team. So it's an interesting matchup. As I said, there's no history in these owners, as they have never faced off. So I will come back to that one. I'm going to make all of my picks at once at the end. So Bleeding Green, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Round 1. One of your first round matchups in the NFC has some history. as Average Joe, formerly the Gents, formerly Lick My Rawls, formerly They See Me Rawlin', is now in the dirty south of the NFC and grabs a division crown. Facing off against Donkey Punch, who lost their first round bye and their division crown in a huge showdown with Mo Betta Butta in the very last week of the season. Donkey Punch, a former champion from 2012, as they rode the one miracle season of RG3 to a championship. It's been their only playoff appearance. However, these two owners have faced off 5 times previously in the regular season. They have never faced off in the playoffs. The Gents have only made the playoffs twice. Their first season in 2012, in which they left without a playoff win, when they were co-owners in that season. They made the playoffs last season and did grab their first playoff win. Donkey Punch only has made the playoffs in 2012. 2 playoff wins, one of those being the Super Bowl win. Donkey Punch holds a 3-2 record historically in this matchup. Not enough to warrant one a great advantage over the other. So you have to take a look at the lineups. As Donkey Punch had put together one of the hottest teams in the league. At one point, they were on an amazing stretch. I believe winning 8 in a row. Kirk Cousins, Gordon, Hopkins, Safarian Jenkins at the flex. Average Joe come in with Hundley at quarterback. He's got Stafford, who I believe is going to start Stafford, but there's a little health concerns with Stafford. But he's got Ingram. He's got Latavius Murray, Macklin, Brandon Cooks, Delaney Walker. He's got a solid team. He's got a solid defense. This is also going to be a very, very good matchup. And teams with a lot of history. They've been playing together in this league since 2012. So there's a lot of history in this one. And fairly evenly matchup. Donkey Punch currently holds it with a 3-2 edge historically. Now back in the AFC, we have a unique matchup for this season, as you have 2 teams who have already played each other twice this season. They're division rivals, new division rivals, in the AFC Elite East. As division champion, Ryan with the Stone Ponies takes on Kent, former league champion, Bison Broncos. Kent has a very storied career as well in the Hardcore Challenge, as has 4 playoff appearances, all of those playoff appearances by way of division titles in 2012, 2013, 2015, and 2016, as well as 2 Super Bowl appearances, one of only 3 teams to have more than one Hardcore Bowl appearance. 2012 and 2015, in which he took home the Cup in 2015. Also, in a year he did not make it to the Super Bowl, led the league in scoring in 2013. So Ken is a formidable opponent and an OG within the league. Ryan, the division champion, who edged him out, is a new owner. They've split games this season. So this is the rub match, the tiebreaker. Can the new owner take down the old guard? the defending champ, and bounce him in the first round. This is also an interesting matchup when you start to look at the roster. The Stone Ponies have played a smart game. They've got McCown at quarterback. They've patched it together with Burkhead, Hyde, AJ Green, Thielen, Randolph. They've just put together a good fantasy roster. As Bison Broncos are going with Wentz, Fournette, Sanders, Alshon Jeffries. An interesting matchup with these two. After they've already faced off twice. Splitting the matchup. We'll get back to the picks on that one in a moment. That brings us to our last game. Vandalay Industries gets in by way of a three-way tiebreaker to grab the final wild card spot and make it into the playoffs. They come in on a loss, absolutely backing their way in. Facing off against formerly Brett Favre, formerly Cheesehead. Now the Pack Attack is back. Corey is finally in the postseason and makes it by way of a division title in the NFC Elite East. Having been in the league since 2010, this is his 8th season, and he finally cracks the playoffs. You would think, coming in hot on a win, first division crown, first playoff appearance, a team that had to get in by way of three-way tie to grab the last wild card spot, backed in on a loss. You think, surely Corey's got this week 1 to set up the week 2 matchup against Mo Betta Butta. Round 2. They have a very interesting rosters as well. When you start to look at who's actually in the AFC and the NFC. Also, Wentz at quarterback for Vandalay Industries. Tevin Coleman. Looks like he's going to start Barber for Tampa Bay. Don't rub it in, Ryan. He's sensitive. Corey's a sensitive fellow. Don't rub it in. He's made it. It only took him 8 years. He's a slow learner. We had to dilute the pool for him to make it. See, this whole expansion was just also Corey could make the playoffs. It's all just one big, let's help Corey out with fancy. But you got Matt Ryan for Corey. He's got Burkhead, Kamara, Shepard, Clay, Hyde at his flex. He's put together a very solid team. Very solid team. Vandalay has not been a strong team down the stretch. So let's go back to the first game and I'm going to work my way through them in the order that we broke them down. Bleeding Green versus Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. New owner, defending champ. First matchup ever. No historical meetings before. I'm picking an upset this week. This is my upset special right here. I think Bleeding Green knocks off the defending champ in the first week of the playoffs. Tom, your team has just not been hitting on all cylinders. I don't know, and I just have a feeling the Chiefs are going to have an off week. I have a feeling they're going to have an off week. And I'm picking the defending champ to get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. I think it will be close, but I think he can pull it off. He's just on a hot streak. He's on a hot streak, and the champ is on a down streak. And that's just prime mixture for an upset. So, we will see. We will see. Now, Average Joe and Donkey Punch. Like I said, this team has a lot of history. This will be their 6th matchup, historically. Donkey Punch has won 3 prior. Average Joe's won 2. Average Joe's the division champ, although Donkey Punch lost in the last week of the season, still was by far one of the strongest teams down the stretch, league-wide. So that one loss, you can't hold that much against them because they were coming in at 1-3 and then rattled off 8 straight wins and then dropped one. So, I'm taking Donkey Punch to get a shot at Skull Crushers, the highest scoring team in the league in round 2, as they take down Average Joe in the first week of the playoffs. In your other AFC first round matchup, so you have the Stone Ponies facing off against Bison Broncos. I believe both new owners will move on, and both former champions will be eliminated in the first round in the AFC, as the Stone Ponies are also going to move on to face Knox Vegas Anarchy as 2 owners. New owners will face off. That leaves 1 game. Pack Attack is back against Vandalay Industries. Corey finally makes the playoffs. Will he finally get his first win? His first playoff win. He won't possibly take him 8 years to make the playoffs and then leave without a win. That wouldn't be possible, would it? My God. That would be a badge of shame that you would have to wear for another season without a playoff win. So I'm picking Corey to win and get his first playoff victory in his first playoff game against Vandalay Industries. Oh, there's no ties. There are no ties. It goes down to fractional points. It breaks down. There are no ties in the playoffs. Don't worry. There are multiple tiebreakers. So, those are my picks. I'm picking Bleeding Green and the Stone Ponies to move on in the AFC, and Donkey Punch and the Pack Attack is back. To move on. No, there aren't fractional points. I have to go look to clarify. Disregard that. I said there's tiebreakers. We've never had one. I'd have to go look. But there's a rule in there for it. For tiebreaker in the playoffs. Hold on. I'll look it up right now. Damn it. Hold on. Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll post it on there. But there is a tiebreaker rule built in. Yes, there's a reason we don't play fractional points. Because you don't get fractional points in... Who the hell scores with fractional points? There's no fractional points in any sport. Period. They don't use them. This ain't the Olympics. We're not scoring your goddamn dive. No, we don't use fractional points. Your guy actually has to get to that next 10 yards to get that point. He has to earn every point. No fractional points. To hell with fractional points. No. No. I've never liked fractional points. There's no fractional points in football. There just isn't. There just isn't. But I will look that answer up and confirm an answer, and I will post it out there just in case it happens this weekend. We have it clarified 100%. Because God forbid, we don't need that. Now that you asked, it's going to happen. You know that, right? Now that you asked, it's going to happen. That's just the way it works. That's just the way it works. So, it's the playoffs. Oh, I will get to that, Gary. Oh, I will get to that. When we get closer. I've got that all planned out. And it's going to be happening live. We're going to stream the whole thing. It'll be off and on live coverage. Oh, don't worry about that. We've got a stellar Super Bowl plan. Oh, I worked backwards in laying that out. But you got to get there first. And then we'll worry about that with the two owners that are there. But until then, it went from 32 down to 12. Round 1. 8 owners enter. Only 4 will leave. Are you ready for the challenge? Good luck. Game on.